Welcome to Everything Mental Health with your hosts, Chris Weeks and Maureen Edwards.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Maureen.
And here we are with another episode of Everything Mental Health. And last time we talked about, the last couple of times we were talking about attachment style, and then we talked about that patterning that can happen, the patterns that are laid down in the brain from experiences and interactions and relationships. And we were just talking off camera, and that brings up the nervous system.
Yes.
And nervous system activation. And what happens when all this is, the attachment styles are forming, when brain patterns are being laid down, psychological patterns are being laid down, what happens with the nervous system? Because all this is not independent of the nervous system, it's happening at the same time.
Yes. So, I would say at the base of it, we can not necessarily go into sort of depth in terms of the nervous systems that we have, but I mean just like an overview in the sense that we have the systems that assist us with regulating our being in the environment, let's say. And we've got the parasympathetic, we have the sympathetic, we have the vagal. That can also be considered our central nervous system if you want to kind of look at it that way. But we have a number of different systems that help to sort of regulate our bodies. The nervous system was built for us to, I think, be able to apprehend our environment in terms of survival. And so if it's a safe environment, our nervous system is going to function a certain way. If we're looking at an environment that's unpredictable, our nervous system is going to develop a certain way. If it's an abusive environment, that we've talked about the abandonment, we've talked about neglect and so on. I mean, the nervous system is apprehending all of this.
Yes.
And it could be called a neuroception, where even beyond words, we can't put words to the environment that we are living in. And so the nervous system is, let's say, apprehending this environment, and it's called neuroperception. And so if we are in an environment that's pretty predictable, secure, we're talking about the attachment being healthy and whatnot, then we're talking about a fairly regulated nervous system. But then in other environments where, let's say, it's unpredictable, abusive, frightening, chaotic, disorganized, then we're looking at this kind of the fight, flight, or freeze mode,
Well, that's bringing up sort of that interplay between the sympathetic nervous system, which would be that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which would be that relaxation, calm, relax and digest. Everything is like calm so that you're just sort of chill.
Yes.
And so maybe we can just talk about that fight, flight, freeze, that sympathetic response, that fight, flight, freeze, fawn.
Sure. I like that you included fawn also. That's one that is being recognized in an interesting way, where if the environment is kind of unpredictable and quite possibly scary, that fawning, that desired, I would look at it almost as if you're trying to look for comfort even in that environment. So trying to find a way of still nestling into the comfort of that environment.
It brings to mind that Stockholm syndrome, where the victim sort of befriends the abuser.
Yes.
And kind of comes on board, if you will, in a way, to to mitigate and to sort of make the abusive experience as tolerable as possible.
Yes.
That's how I would see fawning.
Right?
A
Yeah.
little bit.
In a way. So what comes to mind is the let's say the abusive father towards the young daughter. And so in spite of the abuse, the daughter kind of wants to nestle up to daddy, and almost there's a dissociation that might be taking place as well, but there's that attempt to try to mitigate the inclination to run from the situation, or to fight or to freeze in that situation also.
Yes.
And so, I mean, the fight, flight, and freeze modes are fairly self-explanatory.
They are, yes.
Right?
So fight would be like an action that
Yes.
is taken.
And that can be also even in behavior. What comes to mind is behavior in school. The sort of the individual who may be a bully in school, because that's the acting out of
Acting out, yeah.
the abuse that may be taking place in the home.
Right.
Whereas in the home, there's that flight or freeze mode, for example.
Yes. Raging or
Rage.
anger.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be under that sympathetic fight response.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine that whichever environment that the individual may be growing up in, and whichever mode then that might be dominant. So then we look at the way in which that person is developing as a result of these nervous system modes, let's call them,
Yes.
that might be dominant. So we see it again in the variety of ways in which a person may attach to in relationship, the way in which a person might react to certain situations, also whether in some situations you might see a person overreacting in a situation that seems fairly not as frightening as it may appear to be to others, but you have this kind of overreaction, or you have an underreaction also, where so you either there's this heightened response to a situation, or a very flattened affect to a situation,
Right.
as a result of the way that the nervous system has apprehended originally has been apprehending its environment or its world.
Yes, and that sort of corresponds to those attachment styles as well.
Mm-hmm.
What I was thinking of with that fight response where there's an action or an anger outburst or some kind of a response. I was also thinking of that flight response. So flight would be that running from, fleeing,
Yes.
moving the self or the psyche away from something. And a lot of times the people that move around a lot or move throughout relationships a
Mm-hmm.
lot or are always in flight.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally always in flight. They don't land and stay. They land and leave, land and leave,
Yes.
land and leave. And that's a typical nervous system response,
Yes.
which has become a pattern.
There we go again with the
Yep.
pattern. Yes. So what comes to mind is a person that might be considered to be promiscuous because there's an inability or a fear of intimacy. And so you find that this person may feel safer in in sort of either having multiple partners or having sort of sexual relationships that I don't want to say meaningless, because they do mean something, but the person is not wanting to sort of go deeply into
Right.
the meaning of the experience. And so here now then we have a person who is fleeing situations, and this reflects also I think the pain or the emotional turmoil that the person may be feeling, but not necessarily wanting to express. And so we have it in this, it manifests in this fashion, for example.
And I think it's really fascinating that the attachment style, the patterning, and the nervous system response all kind of intermingle together into how a person can be in the world.
Yes.
You know?
And the labeling that goes along with that. Look at how we, in our society, how we are able, we want to pigeonhole people or label people in certain fashions and then dismiss them as a result of that label that they've been given.
Yeah.
And yet we don't want to necessarily go any further than that in terms of, well, look at the pattern, look at the way in which this person developed, and it's
Well,
unfortunate.
recognizing that it's a nervous system response as well.
Yes, absolutely. Recognizing that there's a whole path that you can follow with every person's life in terms of the way that the person may be dealing with any situation right now, or how a person may be even feeling within their skin right now, or the way that a person is looking at the world right now, you know, and so it's really very interesting how we default at times to, well, that's just how I am, or this is my personality, or I'm just a character, or any number of ways in which we then perpetuate the behaviors as a result of the ways in which we have been developing from our childhood. And so, yeah, I think it starts with the nervous system, and what is going on around that nervous system, let's say. Then it moves into this place of let's say trauma. That moves into this place of attachment and relationships and beliefs and these sorts of things as well. And then here we have what we have as far as our world around us, and the ways in which people behave in the world. And so we look at, we talked about stress in before, and look at how people are dealing with situations in general. Look at how you deal with a road incident, and now we have a term called road rage. You know,
Yes.
look at the way in which so-called leaders on the planet sort of deal with situations. Even in terms of our collective, if we come from a certain country, we are often labeled with the way in which that country, that place, kind of operates. Oh, you're from there, so you must be this, that, or something else also. And so we tend to, I find it very fascinating that we tend to expand upon our traumas into the collective, and then we justify the behaviors in the collective, or we give them labels, or we pathologize them, or any number of ways in which we don't necessarily take a look at the threads, the connective tissue, so to speak, that has led to what we see in the greater society.
And as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh my God, that's the next one. That's the freeze. We're frozen collectively in trauma.
Well, yes, right. We
You know, we've solidified or frozen, and we're not looking at the underlying issues. We're thinking this is a rigid thing that's not going to change.
yes,
That we don't have control over it. It just is what it is,
yes,
and we're frozen.
yes. That's right. We're stuck. We're stuck in these patterns that we, like you say, we feel as if we can't get out of. We can't escape. But in fact, once again, we can. Especially if we are a bit more understanding of the circumstances in which a person has grown up, and if we're willing to allow our own protective devices, if you want to call it that, if we're willing to sort of let down some of our own defenses in order to address the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean the collective is I think is in need of of
Yes.
some
We're
triage.
stressed out society.
Yes,
The nervous system of the planet is activated,
yes,
as is everything and everyone in it.
yes, and evidently it's kind of a freeze fight
Yes.
mode. You know, we're not sort of
Well,
looking at-
and also that the flight, like we're all moving so fast.
Yep.
At the same time, we're still frozen.
Yes, there's there's the paradox right there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I find that extremely fascinating on the larger scale, because it's almost like this kind of these fractal patterns that on the large scale. I mean, sort of if you kind of keep going into the smaller and smaller patterns, we see the same patterns. Right? So what we need to do is get to the core, I believe, of how do we address these core patterns in order to then see a shift in terms of the way in which we might interact with each other on the larger scale. And I'm talking about nations. I'm talking about the countries, the way that the I mean, we hear about there being one world, but it seems to be quite fragmented as far as the ways in which we kind of interact in that world.
Yeah.
You know?
The nervous system is completely activated, and there's no parasympathetic response.
There isn't. Sort of, we are dysregulated.
We're dysregulated. Yes.
Right, and the body desperately tries to sort of get it into equilibrium in a variety of ways when it's in dysregulation, and it seems though that with the ways in which we address this dysregulation, the body doesn't have opportunity to move back into equilibrium. If we're going to arrest the process by prescribing certain medications, even certain they're supposed to be helping a situation, but actually I think that sometimes they arrest the process. And so I'm not saying that there isn't something to be said about certain kinds of medications. However, to throw a pill at an issue repeatedly, that's a whole other agenda that we're kind of looking at.
Yes.
You know, once again, here we have then a society that's addicted to a certain process that's supposed to be a remedy, but it's not a remedy.
Right.
And what we continue then to manifest, I think, is as you say. I mean, sort of this kind of freeze mode, this kind of flight mode, this avoidance, you know, of certain situations, And we can only, the body only moves so fast. Right?
Yeah.
And the body only heals so in a certain way as well. And the nervous system is there in terms of alerting us to not only when things are dysregulated, but when healing needs to happen.
Yes.
And we almost think that well, stress is intrinsic within our society. Well, no, it's not. It doesn't have to be there at all. And there, little pockets of groups of people who live stressless lives. Sort of I recall watching a show about the blue zones, about certain groups of people who live in certain places where there's no stress. They live these healthy, wonderful lives, and a lot of them, live up to over 100 years old. And there's this completely other way of looking at the way in which you can operate in this world, in this life, right? So we once again, there are ways in which there are solutions. There are ways in which
there's a way out.
There's a way out, and maybe that's something that we can take a look at also in terms of
Yes, I'd love to.
Right, the ways that we can,
The ways out.
the ways
Yes.
out, so to speak. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks. Thanks, Maureen.